on how to solve a problem. So we're going to take a look at this part here. What is an analysis solution mindset? We're going to consider different viewpoints and putting effort into understanding why information may be presented in a certain way. Look at the big picture of the work situation. Examine information and data using critical thinking skills, like your CASAS test data. Taking time to think about different ways of solving a problem and testing out ideas to see which one is best. So in this short video, we will take a look at what happens when you don't have an analysis solution mindset. So let's take a look. Let's examine that. So this is what not to do. Analysis solution mindset.
Thanks for waiting. We're so excited to share some of our new ideas with you. Unfortunately, we're running just a tad behind. I noticed. It'll only be a few more minutes. Can I get you something? A cup of coffee, perhaps? Sure. I'll take a cup. You got it! Alright, Krabs. I don't like you, and you don't like me. But there's a client out there that wants some of your sweet nectar. And nothing is going to get in the way of her getting her nectar. You got that? Right. What are you doing? Oh, I'm trying to make coffee for the client, but this stupid thing won't work. Watch. Shoot. Have you tried figuring out what's wrong with it? Great idea. How would I do that?
John is not a problem solver.
Maybe ask someone who's been working here for longer than you have.
Good. John, how to fix the coffee machine?
Do I look like I have any idea?
Well, if you don't, then why don't you find someone who's better at electronics than you are?
I could do that. Do you have any idea what's wrong with it?
Jane is not a problem solver either.
No clue. I have a good idea.
That is a bummer.
Is my coffee ready yet?
It's the darndest thing.
That machine is just being such a little rascal.
Have you tried turning it off and turning it on again?
No.
Maybe checking to see if the pipes are clogged.
Gross.
Have you even put coffee in?
John and Jane are easily stumped. Have a hard time thinking about solutions.
Did the two of you even try to fix the government? Or have you just both been standing here turning the same knob over and over instead of actually trying to figure out what's going on? More of the same. was horrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, you should check out these social media profiles I just made. Check it out. We have a store. My deepest desire has always been to own.
And stay tuned for our worksheets. So, after watching that video, what we'd like to do is reframe. Okay? Think of life like a picture. How does it change when you zoom in versus when you take a step back, right? Sometimes when you're in a situation, it's hard to really think about solutions. Reframing helps you ask new questions, right? When you reframe the way you look at things, you can see others' perspectives and come up with solutions, right? So sometimes just asking it in a different way. What is the sum of 5 plus 5? As opposed to what two numbers add up to 10, right? Dr. Tina Sealing, a professor at Stanford, explains that changing the frame changes the range of solutions to the problem. So, how did the client in the 21st century's video clip reframe the problem for John and Jane? What do you think? So, we'll pause for our discussion. Okay, reframing helps you come up with innovative solutions, right? You've just been hired to replace a manager who never provided guidance to his workers. So staff members are all stressed, are not getting their work done properly, and assume you will be as bad as the manager who just left. What are some solutions? Think about multiple perspectives, the endpoints of view, yours, the staff, the bosses who hired you. What further information, data might you need? What are some possible solutions to this problem? And think creatively. Okay. Does anyone want to share a real life example to show how reframing might help? We'll pause. So, how do you gather information? Well, at this school, we take CASAS tests. That's one way, right? We also ask students to take surveys. We ask your opinion about things. So in this one, it's talking about percentage of adults 16 and over undertaking media activity like apps, going online, watching television, or streaming information. The blue is watching television, right? And the red is going online. Yellow is reading newspapers or magazines. So obviously we can see where trends are, right? So as you get older, can you notice any trends with going online? If I'm 75 and older and I'm using the red bar, and I can see that as folks get older, they go online less. But something that stays the same is television, 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 television. One reason why this might be a little less in the teenage years is teenagers are in sports or after school activities. How do you gather information? What are the main ways you get your news? How often do you check news updates? So let's pause now and just go ahead and take a minute with your table partner to discuss that topic. So think about what's hidden. When you click on news online, analytics are started to track the type of information you research the most, right? News feeds become tailored to your preferences and populate with articles that might be of interest to you. So if you always search for financial news, your news feed will get pushed to you on finances. and things happening in the market. Ads pop up related to your search and spending preferences. So if you are interested in buying sofas, suddenly you will get many ads for buying sofas. All of this creates a limited point of view. You see what you seek, and instead of well rounded information, you can build bias. How can you reframe the information you are exposed to? Anybody have any ideas? We'll take a minute to discuss. Okay, so if step one is having us reframe the problem, right? Can help you break big problems into smaller problems. It's not just about taking a step back to look at the context. It's sometimes about looking at the smaller parts of a bigger issue. Okay? This can help you feel less stressed, less overwhelmed, and you can approach a big issue small part at a time. For example, balancing academic work with your personal life and responsibilities can be complicated. How can you approach this larger issue with a series of smaller solutions that can add together to create big changes? Well, one way is to collect information, collecting different information. Identify the problem. Do you need a high school diploma? Collect relevant information. Where are your skills at? Right? Taking a reading and math test, a CASAS test, is a good way to start. Develop alternatives. Talking with your guidance counselor or other people at the school, creating SMART goals, and talking about the different programs we have here. Develop alternatives. Evaluate each alternative. How much time is involved? How expensive each one is? And then, if you have a schedule or a calendar, select the best alternative for you and then implement the decision. Follow up and evaluate. Use your critical thinking skills when you evaluate the information on what is best for you. Step 3, analyze. Having a good checklist of tips when evaluating the news, for example, right? Check the media and information sources for tonal bias, neutral tone, positive, negative, name calling, all of that is bias, right? Who is the target population? Are there groups that are left out, not given a voice? Can you identify the core message in the data? Is marketing involved? Commercials, what are they selling? Can you cross reference against other sources? Check how valid the information is. This also includes checking the date when the article was released. Are there updates to the information? Practice. If you're interested in the topic of how companies market to our habits, you can read The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Okay, as we continue with our lesson today, we are looking at step 4. Identify problems and seek solutions. Problem solvers. The world is filled with problems, which means it has just as many solutions. Think about your interests, skills, and career goals. Use this to see what problems exist and how to be solution minded. Talk about these in groups. 24-year-old Christopher Gray, who struggled to find financial aid while in college, designed the app Schoolly to help low-income students find scholarships. Ellen Grealish, Sheila Murphy, and Gwen Rossiner A trio of working mothers started Flex Professionals to help women transitioning back into the workforce to find jobs. Retired due to injury, NFL player David Vobra founded the Adaptive Training Foundation to work with individuals with disabilities, including veterans, through athletic training. What are some examples from your own community? Share them now. So, to sum up and work on our ticket out the door, what impact can your solutions have on others? Problems and solutions can impact your life and the life of others, especially at work. So take the time to think about 3 types of ethics in decision making. Okay? One is, does it provide the greatest good for the greatest number? Does it respect the rights of the individuals affected? Is it fair and equitable? Okay, those are really good vocabulary words. Make sure you understand what ethics are, and we can talk about that vocabulary together. One activity we're going to do today is called a popcorn share and handout. Okay? A popcorn share is when you quickly answer a question to help you get thinking and sharing ideas. Some examples of academic vocabulary to practice is finishing this sentence. One strategy I often use to solve a problem is, and then one person at the table begins, shares their thoughts quickly, and then calls on another person. Or you can do what Marion Clark does in her class, is a gallery walk. And she has on the whiteboards different questions for students to think about. Another strategy. Now you have many ideas to help you work on the handout. And I will get that ready for you next. Okay, so as we go into our worksheet of ideas here, we will, let's move this back. You can see the whole worksheet. Okay. And step 1 for empathy, we're going to talk about empathizing and that vocabulary. So when we're empathizing, you ask your partner open-ended questions about their experience communicating their work experience and skills. Does your partner's resume truly capture the real them? What works for them? What doesn't? Your goal isn't to write a resume for your partner, but to design a solution that will help them present themselves, their unique skills and abilities and experiences to potential employers. Listen carefully and attentively to your partner's answers and record your notes below. They should be 4 minutes, switch, and your total time should be 8 minutes. Then, in step 2, you're going to dig deeper. Your goal here is to try to encourage your partner to talk about their feelings, emotions, and motivations. Ask why questions and try to find out what's truly important to your partner. Each partner will have 4 minutes for a total of 8 minutes, and then we will switch.